The all-new Honor X7D. 5-star SGS Premium Drop Resistant, 6,500 milliampere per hour, super large battery, IPS Honor X7D, extra tough, extra power.
iDiskiTV, hello and welcome to another episode on a Monday. I think this is one of the earliest episodes we've ever shot. It's myself, Nkululeko, Nkewu, with Lindo Pep and Nkewu. Thank you so much for joining us. So, there's only one thing to discuss, really, if you think about it. There's only one leader in South Africa. Orlando Pirates are number one in the Betway Premiership. The last time they won the league was around 2012. That makes it 13 years. Last season, there was an illusion of a title race. We enjoyed that for as long as it lasted until Sundowns changed their coach around December time, and then things fell apart for Orlando Pirates. Of course, we spoke about Police. Why didn't you sign him? We spoke about the depth, and then Mofokeng was my player of the season last season in January, February, March. I would say that the performances were not the same. Someone else could say he went missing. I don't want to be that harsh. That meant that Uribero became the player of the season last season. And of course, Mamelodi Sundowns ran away with the title. Now, as I'm speaking to you, and as you watch this, as we as a team, iDiskiTV, are speaking to you, Orlando Pirates are number one. They're leading the log by 3 points. Orlando Pirates have played 12 matches. Mamelodi Sundowns have played 12 as well. At the beginning of the season, Abdeslam Ouaddou lost the first 2 matches, and we were scratching our heads thinking, oh my God, our title race is gone. Looks like it's revived. And not only a title race, of course, we also do, or some section of the supporters, myself included, want to see a different winner. I spoke to Lindo Pep. The whole video will be talking about that. Can Orlando Pirates win the league? Do they have title credentials? Is it too early to discuss it? Are they a title-winning team? Lindo Pep, thank you very much for joining us. You good, sir?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. You're wearing all black.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like you're a secret agent from Orlando supporting Sundowns. I'm sure I'm not the first person to say.
No, yeah, I think you're starting to read our comments. Thank you.
No,
yeah,
I don't. I don't read comments. I don't read.
Yeah,
comments.
No. To be honest with you, I don't support any of the clubs. It's just that obviously I've had the privilege of working in a super sport documentary produced by TNW, which was an Orlando Pirates thing. So I got to know the insights of the club, the players, formed some relationships within the club.
Well, what people don't know about that documentary is that it was also going to cover Sundowns, or it will still cover Sundowns.
Yeah.
It will also cover Chiefs as well at some point. Of course, that's based on the agreement between whoever is shooting and Supersport and the clubs themselves.
Yeah,
but the first one was Orlando Pirates. And of course, 2 and 2 together. Why are you presiding over Pirates?
No, to be honest with you, as the best analyst in the country, I was chosen to be the only analyst in a documentary.
You do get paid to talk about football.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what makes the distinction between analysts and some of us who are talking about football as a hobby. And I think it's the same thing when you look at people about professional. Is that the people who play Guamahlobo games, for example, fantastic tournament, Maimane Piri games, fantastic tournament. The people who play there might think that they are better than the people who play professional.
Of course.
But the professionals at least get paid. Whether it's 100,000, 200,000, the professionals get paid to play football.
For sure.
And maybe even the fact that you get paid sets you apart from fans who might look at you and think Nyalingana. But Lingani, if someone is, and it's not just iDiski who's willing to pay you, it's other entities. It's shows on Supersport. Yeah. There's another show that you work on as well. Yeah. It's radio. So there's levels to this.
There's levels to this thing. Thank you.
and
to be honest, I think the biggest credit, other than the fact that I've done very well with iDiski. And I remember our first conversation, you and I, and you said, Lindo, I'm not going to reveal much, but you know that I think I've met my KPIs. But I think the biggest credit I think I'm taking this year is Ulutando showed me some graphics actually that I'm the most listened to analyst in a single broadcast. I think Giants got about 2.5 million.
Nice one.
Which is something that has never been done in South African football. So
it is also true that you were the only one that was there. So that's also, maybe it's a coincidence. Like if you are the only person who's speaking Otlazi, then you are the only one who was there. Orlando Pirates, number one in the league, in the Betway Premiership. In fact, I got goosebumps and I got excited as well as I was thinking about what we now have in our hands. Of course, Just like children, this thing can be dangled in front of us, and then those ones who are yellow, who have won it 8 times, but it clips by tat.
Yeah.
It's dangled in front of us, and those ones who are yellow, who are kings of South African football, they can just come and take
Yeah.
it and grab it away from us. But for now, we have a title race.
Yeah, Mr. Nkewu, to be honest with you, it's the psychological constitution. I was actually reading that word when I was coming here, reading books. People have been saying, Lindo, read books. But it's the psychological constitution that the Orlando Pirates has to maintain. The pressure of being number one for plus minus 18 games that are left now. Will they manage that pressure? Because from a squad depth perspective, defensively, they do have a defensively solid structure. The base of the team looks solid with the 2 center backs.
Well, let's talk that because when we heard Mbogazi leaving, then they, against Chipa last week, they play without him.
Yeah.
They have CMI and they also have CBC. There were cracks showing there. Of course, they didn't lose the game. Pirates were always going to win that game. They did well. Well done to Orlando Pirates. They were superior. You and so watched Durban City, and I think you had takeaways as well. But Mbogazi was there this time around, but also with CBC. So, yes, there's depth. There's Unda on the bench as well. There's Sesane, there's Toki on the bench as well. But maybe if you minus Mbogazi, who's the best defender we've seen in years, are there any cracks there? Yes, there's depth in terms of number of human beings. And Olisanda was the best before he got injured. But is there any gap in the Imbobo?
Yeah, Ikon Imbobo, Mr. Nkewu. And Imbobo, obviously, part of our job is not to break football players, but we understand that football players lose form.
Sure.
I think everyone can be honest and say Usbisi hasn't had a very good 2 months. I think his game has a lot of mistakes. His game lacks confidence, and he's the captain of the football club. He's got huge responsibilities of leading on and off the pitch. But Mbogazi offers the Orlando Pirates a lot of possibilities. He offers them a left footer, which is a commodity. It's a European currency. The fact that he uses his left, so they can build up on a lopside. He offers them different qualities in terms of passing range.
But now we have to assume a life without him. That's the point I'm driving towards. Uguti, let depth
Yes, I think so. If a season ago, if I were to ask you about Unda, you would have said Unda is
Best
the best defender in the
country.
league. The injuries, we don't know how Unda is going to come back after 2 major injuries, because we have to be honest, the boy has suffered. And you listen to him, I've listened to him so many times speaking on Giants as he was one of the characters. And I thought to myself, this has affected him psychologically, because he's even scared to get onto the pitch. Fana Nozakele Lipasa, who the pain has gotten so much that it takes him time to actually feel like himself again on the pitch. Because there's something Uzix actually even said to me. He said, you know, Lindo, when you've been injured for a very long time, you lose yourself. That little bit of feel of the pitch.
You doubt yourself.
You doubt yourself a little bit. And I'm hoping that Unda, when he comes back, he's still the same defender. He's the only player that has made the Nigerian national team as an infield player. And that never happens because they've got their European...
Especially who plays in Africa.
For sure, Mr. Nkewu. So you look at that. So for me, the pace, the re-emergence of Fusiema as well, I think, Mr. Nkewu, we have to be honest, the boy surprised all of us. The boy has been good, and not just good, he's been on form, big match pedigree. We've seen him against Sundowns. We've seen him against games that matter.
So where I wanted to drive you was the Indaba depth. We'll look at Pirates in totality. It's great that they're number one so far, and I would love a different winner. Me, myself, I have to put it out there. And I've been saying that many times. I want you to calibrate what you're saying with what we saw last week. It wasn't a disaster, but Evanga targeted Siema to a point where you said CBC failed to protect Usiema. CBC fails to protect Usiema. Now, against the Durban City, I don't know what it looked like because there were 2 matches at the same time. Is there any cause of concern for you defensively if Mbogazi is removed from that? That's where we're going.
Mr. Nkewu, it's a big concern losing Mbogazi. And we have to be honest, Mr. Nkewu. Before last season, the entire season, in this phase of the season, they were number one. And they were playing with Unda and they were playing with Tusesan. Da got injured and they introduced Tusbis. But if we are being honest, in the second half of the season, when they lost to Tusesan, we started to see cracks in the Orlando Pirates defense. And in that defense...
but Mbogazi immediately. I think
but before
the gap
Mbogazi
was on the right. I think there was a point where on the right there was uncertainty. Libiso was injured and all of that.
But even before Mbogazi, the reason why they brought Mbogazi, remember very well, there was Ukoki Nosbisi. And Mamelodi Sundowns beat them 4-1. Ujoje Rivero had to change the tactical structure into being a 4 back to a 5. So they had to introduce Mbogazi to be a protection, Kasbisi, no Koki. That's when Usbisi started to play well. well. And all of us said he's a defender of the season. But if you can look at the major part
there
of
was a
that
point
season,
where he picked up a space.
He picked up a space. But if you can look at the major part of the season last season, there were cracks. It was easy to score Orlando Pirates. They looked very vulnerable on a counter-attack. And when you played against the Cheaper this past weekend and against the Durban City, that's what those things came back. Those flashes came back to say, they look very vulnerable. They don't look as strong as they used to how they begin the season. Because even last season, they started exactly like this. So for me...
last season at this point, because of what was happening with the coach Mangoba, with Sundowns, and the great start that Pirates had, I think Pirates were number one by this point because they would have won 8 matches in a row, 7 matches in a row. They were very good last season.
I think the highest... I think Umbogazi, what he offers the Orlando Pirates away from the talent is the pace. To defend with pace. So at least Bagas will share a bit of space
but
for them.
In the context of what you're talking about, we have to always assume that he's leaving.
He's leaving, for sure.
And also, we're talking about Pirates winning the title now because they're number one. Which, when he leaves, is there any concern? But you've already mentioned that there are cause for concern.
For sure.
But we have to look elsewhere. Number one, you were happy with Makopa and the fact that he's improving. Relebohile Mofokeng comes back and also is adding value to that squad as well. Does this look like a league-winning team, even from a perspective of do they have a striker that scores goals? Do they have support behind the striker? People who score goals as well.
Even in midfield. That's where the game is won. Last season, we complained about control the game. Because Orlando Pirates now can dominate position. Orlando Pirates can beat you in a tactical battle. Orlando Pirates can grind results. They did not play well against Cheaper. They did not play well against Durban City. Maybe in the second half, the last 25 minutes. But if you look at all of those versatilities in their tactical evolution, then you start saying they've got a destroyer. They've got someone who knows how to circulate the ball. In midfield, they've got a regulator, someone who knows how to control the game. They've got Tunemta Jela, they've got Tumbule, they've got Tumbata in that space. And their creative department...
all different types of midfielders.
Different types. Their creative department has 4 or 5 players who currently are on form. You're talking about Apolis, Rilem Fukeng, maybe Rile is picking up now, Muremi, Tito Maswangai, even though he's on the bench on Wednesday, he comes back on Saturday and he gives a very good performance. The very same with Mbumbule. There's no players who are sulking. So that midfield is already telling you that they're willing to win games because big match pedigree, that's where we want to see them. Can they perform when it matters? We've seen against the Mamelodi Sundowns, they dominated position, they dominated each and every action, they made sure that they defended when they needed to defend. So the midfield plays a big part in Orlando Pirates. And then now you're speaking about the players that have to score, in players like Kabo Apolis, Rilem Fukeng, and the striking department, which is Umahopa. For you to win the league, you need a striker that is consistently going to score you 10 to 15 goals.
What has changed with evidence? Because there's something that you said in your video about maybe critiquing players too early. And I disagree with that because you have to always call it as you see it. So if Lindo adlala namhlanje angadlali kahle I center back. That's what Lindo is today.
You know what I was saying, Mr. Nkewu?
Today.
I think I was harsh. Me personally, there's a way of...
Here's what where I'm going with it. I agree. Well, you can have a self-reflection on yourself, but we cannot be watching you. It's the same with any other league in the world. We're not an exception in South Africa. We cannot be watching you for 4 years having the same issue of you don't know how to occupy which spaces up front. You always go outside the box, and always the feedback is the same. The same with Tumbata. Tumbata, in one season, we're talking about a forward pass. He went to training. The next season, he comes back. He has a forward pass. He had a goal in him anyways last season. So whenever someone was talking, even Paris fans, when they were talking about Umahopa, it was not criticism. It was to say, what kind of striker are you that... Think about the logic of this. We striker... Gulama formation and one amhlanje, modern formations, there's one striker. If you get out of that box and you are number 7 or number 11, left wing or right wing, what do you think you're going to be crossing that ball to? Like,
and
when you get that ball. So at that time that you were criticizing him, I'm just saying, don't be harsh on yourself because you were not being harsh. And anyone else who was doing it, whether it was myself or Junior or even Pirates fans or Tso Vilakazi, if when he's performing, he's doing those things that are getting him away from goals, such that Umabasa scores 20 goals and Umahopa only scores 8. At the time that you're looking at him, he's poor. But what I then expect, and I say this to yourselves every time I'm watching matches to Abo Junior, is that when he improves, then I want you to also say there is an improvement.
Mr. Nkewu, the biggest criticism of Umahopa is that he played in areas where they were low value. There were low value areas, and the biggest value of a football striker is goals, is assist, is being involved in the game.
Affect the game positively.
But not to say he's a centre back. That, for me, I take accountability because I feel that was very harsh. There's
you can phrase it differently, but still use the word centre back. You can say You might as well be the centre back of the opposition if Ibola might feel from Orlando Pirates when Trepa lose. That means you are defending
for sure.
You are helping the defending team to defend, and you are acting against your team. I know it's harsh words, but the idea is the same. Every striker, whether it's your son, our sons and
play
our
in high value areas.
Yes, but also what I'm saying is that our sons, your son, the person who's watching here, are going to be playing professional football if they are lucky to do so and are talented to do so. Even them, when they're not performing, even my son, I don't have a son, but when he plays professional football, if he's lucky and is talented, again, even with him, if he's a midfielder who can't trap the ball, who can't pass the ball, we will say, even me, I'll be the first to say, no, you can't trap the ball. You're supposed to trap the ball, pass it to your teammate, pass it forward. And it's not criticism. It's the expectation of his position. But anyways, I segued. You are complimenting him because he's getting better now.
Mr. Nkewu, biggest credit to him is the energy and the work rate, the psychological profile. He loves to press. He loves those actions, and he's a big player. He's a big player. He performs in
big matches.
Big match pedigree player, and he looks on form. For me, the most interesting things that I saw in his game is that he now stays. He stays in that box now. And he doesn't move much, even though he wants to be involved in the game. He rather drops in where they want to use him as an extended pass, and then he goes into the box. The goal that he scores them in the 6-yard box. Against the Chipa, he taps it in. Against the Durban City, he has 2 touches in the box. Now he looks a little bit composed. He's very coachable. On the ball, he looks really good, Mr. Nkewu. He hardly loses the ball. He knows nothing receive. He knows when to play one touch. He knows how to play basics. And what separates him away from the other strikers is the fact that he does more than what Umabasa does in terms of when the team doesn't
even
have
the energy itself.
He looks
There's
very
a huge
fit.
gap in the energy between himself and Umabasa. Although what we want primarily are goals, but you can affect games in other ways too.
The height is an advantage as well, Mr. Nkewu, because when you're playing like in big matches, you need your striker sometimes to be a very good header of the ball, so that when we defend in corners, he becomes the first. He becomes the strongest header of the ball, which he goes in the initial post where he deals with those balls.
Like the first line of defense.
First line of defense. So he helps you Orlando Pirates in a lot of things. He's the first defender on the pitch. He's a link man. He brings in the wingers closer. He makes sure that he links the midfield and the attack, which is something that the Orlando Pirates have been struggling with. They look better when they play with Umabasa, because Umabasa, the wingers play closer to him because they want to feed him. With him, because he used to move a lot, you always watch the Pirates and you felt like the wingers, the midfielders, are too far away from the goal. And now when you're watching Orlando Pirates, it feels like the distance between the players is also, I think, I'm a 5 meter, 7 meter. So they are not too far away from each other. They are able to find those short passes, link up player can job and shit. And what's more interesting is that he's always in the box.
All right, let's summarize what we're talking about. We're talking about Orlando Pirates and their title credentials. Normally, there's no one way of answering this question, but normally, if you want to win the league, you need a very good squad. Strong squad on the bench. On the field, your starting 11 must be strong. You need a very good coach who can affect games as they are unfolding. We can't wait for next week to improve. As the match is going on, you need to affect the game. You also need the pedigree. Have you done it before? Maybe you need experienced players as well. You also need to, whenever you see yourself, because players will do this on their phones or somewhere in training, whenever they look at the log and they see themselves, they need to be experienced enough or composed enough to say, it's not done yet. There are boxes that Orlando Pirates tick. Let's talk about the coach and the depth. Like, you need the right coach for the right moment. It looks like they do have that. It looks like they do have the depth. So I'm saying all of that to say, I don't see how they don't win.
Yeah, Mr. Nkewu, to be honest with you, from a player's perspective, you look at that squad. The Orlando Pirates, when there's a major injury now, it's not a big hoo-ha. Rilem Fukeng is injured, it's not a big hoo-ha. They replace him with Apolis, they replace him with Umurem, who comes in and delivers. In midfield, it's the very same thing. When you look at from a tactical perspective as well, they're a team they've got a tactical versatility in their match, and then
play one way.
They don't play one way. They can dominate position. I mentioned this. They can win a tactical battle. They can go on a 1v1. They can grind results. They are not scared to even play a pragmatic game and an effective game. And that for me is a true mark of a league champion.
And that guy on the bench, don't underrate that guy on the bench.
I've said it before.
That guy on the bench.
I've said it, Mr. Nkewu.
That guy on the bench.
He knows how to effect games. He's not an emotional coach on the bench. He knows the biggest quality of any football coach is to study and read the game. You can tell that the most successful coaches, it's either defensive midfielder, centre backs, and goalkeepers most of the time, because they've got a responsibility of guiding and nurturing and leading the team from the back. And you can tell that from the sidelines, from how he works with Abumandla Ncikazi, every goal scored, it's celebrated with the technical team.
Yeah.
That means they are one. They've got they plan and they go on the one idea. And number two, Mr. Nkewu, is the reactive decisions that he makes in the pitch. He knows how to put on the right substitutes.
We can't wait for next week. You have to change the game.
Decide
to
the game now.
Now.
Decide the game now. And Mr. Nkewu, the other quality that he has with his players is his players don't mind suffering. A big club needs to suffer. Mamelodi Sundowns under Coach Pitso, there were periods in the game where we would be very pragmatic and very defensive. And then it's Uhlombo Tolula 4 or Ukama Piliat, players who would break the line with pace. Orlando Pirates has those players. They know that, okay, we can be defensive in this game and use our police and their quality. We don't need the fullbacks to initiate the attack. And sometimes there's games where the fullbacks would initiate the attack. And sometimes, for me, another quality that he's added in the Orlando Pirates is very difficult to play against. They are very difficult to beat.
Well, they also have Orlando Stadium. It is the best home stadium and the worst stadium for visitors.
Mr. Nkewu.
That's a huge factor too, that everyone who goes there, like Ilupopo, they had Orlando Pirates had to cover 3 goals,
Yeah.
Ilupopo, and they did it. If it wasn't for Mukoko and the time wasting after the first goal, they could have scored 4 goals. If it wasn't for not playing with a striker from the beginning, they could have scored 4 goals.
Mr. Nkewu, do you know what game convinced me? The game we were watching against Mamelodi Sundowns. I have never seen Orlando Pirates being dominant at Loftus or away playing against the Mamelodi Sundowns. Tactically, every action, positioning, creating goal-scoring opportunities, they could have won that game 3-1. But also, I think what brings Orlando Pirates, the players, the club, the fans, the management closer is also the connection with the style of play. For me, I believe, Mr. Nkewu, the style of play, so Orlando Pirates touches each and every single one of us
Sure.
in terms of Finchley's win. The style of play that Uwadu
What
plays.
I like, so just sorry
Yeah.
to cut you, what I like is that, as you say, style of play,
Yeah.
I can't think of how. I just think that it's effective enough to have wingers who are wingers,
Yeah.
midfielders who are midfielders,
Midfielders.
defenders who are defenders, and the striker who's now starting to score.
Yeah.
I can't say that it's the Sundowns deliberate build-up. And also, I agree as well with your point earlier that you say the tactical versatility. It's not one thing.
No.
It's the suffering when we need to suffer and the attacking the other team when we need to do so. So it's not when people maybe talk when they hear you talk about style of play, they might make the mistake of thinking that
Position.
maybe it's positional. No, there's not one way of playing football. It's not even positional. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's positional when we have the position. We share it so that we can find our best player.
They're unpredictable.
There's also the element of it being diagonal sometimes as well. There's this so let's wrap it up then, because we've already been getting a signal here to wrap it up. I'm not hearing you saying they can't win the league. And I'm also not saying that they can't win the league.
Nick.
In other words, maybe only the other team, the yellow team, could stop them by accruing more points, not because Pirates will win the matches they're supposed to win.
Yeah.
Maybe a draw here and there, and then the other ones would need to be monstrous
Yeah.
to score to win 12 matches in a row, something stupid like that. Like Man City beating Arsenal when Arsenal is supposed to win the league. Man City maybe winning 15 matches in a row. I can't come up with we're kind of touched with the defensive maybe fragility, but I don't think that it's so big that it will make Pirates not win the league. From your mouth, can you see a reason why not?
Mr. Nkewu, I have actually have to mention this before I actually give that. For me personally, I've always said that Orlando Pirates don't build teams to win the league. But this season, there's something that they're doing that convinces me that they might actually win the league. Orlando Pirates has always been a percentage team. They've always been a team that when they don't play well, they don't win the games. They've always been a team that draws instead of having to win. They couldn't turn the dominance into wins, in my opinion. You've watched them at Orlando Stadium, about Cape Town Spurs, and so many teams, about Bloemfontein Celtics, and all of those teams, SuperSport, and they would not get a result. You're watching them this time around, and you're thinking to yourself, the system helps them, the individual brilliance helps them, the type of players that they have helps them, and they're in a space where, yes, and the biggest challenge, this is it, Mr. Nkewu. That's why Orlando Pirates and this policy and this strategy needs to work. I said this the last time to you, that now it puts this psychological monopoly that Mamelodi Sundowns has been dominating the league for 8 years. Is it possible for someone to break that?
Yeah.
And for us, it's very difficult to believe it unless somebody does it. And
I don't think someone could break it convincingly. They
Yeah,
could break
for
the
sure.
pattern once. And
That's the
then,
challenge.
then of course Sundowns comes back because Sundowns can always fire a coach, or make adjustments because they have a good squad. I don't think that the longevity of it. Maybe we could speak about it next season.
Yeah.
But just on this point,
Yeah.
I'm not hearing you say they can't win.
No.
And even me, I can't say that they can't win because they look so
And can
convincing.
I add more? Can I add more? I believe they are building a team now that will constantly win the league. All along, they've built a team that will win the league once, 2012, 2013, or 2011, 2010. Then they don't win it for 13 years. Before they won it in 2012, they spent, I think, more
Yeah,
than
it was
10.
a very long time.
So now they need to enter a stage where they can win the league. Now, this season, next season, and the other season. That's
That
the
will
kind of
be
team.
more difficult to achieve because you are fighting against a giant.
For sure.
You're fighting against a giant in a sense that it's an African team, that team. And that team wins all the time. It only doesn't win when it hamstrings its
Yeah.
own self by making maybe coaching decisions here and there. I think that they normally sort themselves out, and that's my
And
little
another
Sundowns.
thing that they need to do, Orlando Pirates, Mr. Nkewu, one more thing, I know we're closing. The January becomes very important. I'm asking the management.
Would you think that there would be need to be reinforcements? Because we are happy with the squad depth.
Mr. Nkewu,
I don't know what you would want to add.
Mamelodi Sundowns, when they were dominating, they kept on adding. They kept on adding.
Maybe one or two.
One or two.
Not a
My
lot.
belief, I was watching the game. On the bench, they had Apolis as the only winger. Muremi wasn't buzzing. Really, yes, he came second half. And I thought to myself, they maybe need another winger. To be a serious team now. To a winger that's going to take them to the next level. Maybe a Puso, who's already available. Langelihle Pili.
Those kind of players.
Those kind of players. They need one more. And they still need a striker. They still do need a striker because in my personally...
The other problem with that is that there's a point where there's too many players at Pirates sometimes. That's true for Sundowns as well. I think that you have to find a happy medium with the players you have. I think Pirates are very good.
Yeah.
That you don't want to upset Umakhopa.
For sure.
If you are to be believed that he's turning around the corner and is scoring, and we saw him score, you can't dispute that. And then he was fighting with Umabasa. And then they have Mbutuma. I don't think Mbutuma is a league winning striker in the sense that he will score 20.
For sure.
So far, he's not done that. Maybe he might do it in future. I don't think you want to upset that by adding another one or two strikers. You have to trust in the guys that you have, especially if they are scoring.
Three strikers that are really good, that can play any game, anytime, and that don't rely on form. And that's the kind of players they need. For me, Mr. Nkewu, when I'm looking at their squad, I'm thinking they really already have a good squad.
Don't upset that balance.
For sure.
That
I
team
get
is
that.
winning. That team is winning currently.
But they haven't won the league.
You know what I'm saying?
It's winning.
They're winning, and when we look at their depth, we are happy with their depth. Maybe even the management is happy with their depth. There's a point where when you have too many of those guys, I'm pretty sure with Ushalulile and Orenas, they're fighting for that position.
For sure.
Now, if you add another 50 million striker there, then you're going to have to sacrifice the two who are already fighting for that. You see, there's a complexity. Maybe one or two more people
one
that
or two.
you can add.
But let me be honest with you. When I was watching on Saturday, something said to me, they need one or two players of high quality that's going to take them to that last push of the league, because I think they do need a revised energy. They're going to AFCON, you don't know injuries, you don't know what might happen. So for me, the January this time around becomes really important.
All right, there you go. Thank you very much, Lindo Pep. That's Orlando Pirates. In cricket, there's something called the commentator's curse, which is to say that when someone is approaching a milestone, so a milestone in cricket, if you're a batsman, is when you're approaching your 50, which is your half century, or your 100, which is a century. Now, when you're on 92, 93, the commentator's curse is known as umsakaz when he's praising you. And the commentator is saying, well, he's doing so well so far, he's on 92. Sometimes you get out. It's not like you can hear what the commentator is saying. They say it's a commentator's curse. So what I want to say is that we're not doing this to jinx Pirates. I really genuinely would love for them to push until the end, really. It would make it more exciting even domestically as well. Of course, the hype of a big team, genuine big team, winning the league. You will start to see that the league is suddenly important to those who say it's not important. It's because when the Soweto teams win it, the buzz that comes with them winning is greater than a Mamelodi Sundowns perhaps who now is so used to winning it. So we hope we're not jinxing Orlando Pirates, but they are doing well. We have to talk about them. Thank you very much for watching us. For breaking news, go to iDiskiTimes.co.za.